by our stable of sponsors. Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh In, and this weekend most definitely did not disappoint with wonderful racing action coming in from Wanganui and of course Te Araha, where we did have stakes racing. Lots of horses to follow heading forward as well. Joined by my co-host in Michael Gearin. Michael, a very warm welcome to you, and as I mentioned, exciting horses heading forward for us to follow.
Sure is, Em. Good morning to you. Big hi to everybody watching around the country or further afield. Some of the most hyped horses in the country were going around on Saturday, predominantly at Te Araha, and most of them won. Most of them didn't disappoint. So now we have December and hopefully a summer of racing ahead of us, Emily, where we're starting to think, well, where are you going and where are you going and who's not going here? So we were on the phones last night trying to talk to all the trainers about it, Emily. Hopefully in the next 55 minutes or so, we can clarify that picture. But the one horse, I think, on everybody's lips, the one story on everybody's lips on Saturday night, Emily, the Cliff Goss Gold Watch story, the gift that just keeps on giving for New Zealand racing.
Yeah, it certainly is. Just a wonderful, wonderful tale, and we can get into that a little bit later on. Let's start with our stakes races from Te Araha, and we kick things off with the Eagle Technology Stakes, which was taken out by demonetisation.
Performer running on along the inside, demonetisation's right there. Here's Hypnos down the outside. At the 200 metres, they've grabbed the mitigator. It's demonetisation, Hypnos, and behind them Royal Performer. Demonetisation in front, Hypnos coming after it, and behind them Royal Performer, then the mitigator. It's demonetisation, hanging tough. He'll get the win in the Eagle Technology Stakes. Second at the line will be Hypnos, third Royal Performer. Then we had, not sure about fourth between either...
Put himself in striking distance early, didn't he? Demonetisation sitting just in behind the leaders off the pacemaker and the mitigator. And Michael, as we come to you, a couple of good points really, because great to see Leith Innes back at the races and riding big winners, and demonetisation really hitting her straps this time in with that confidence-giving win at Pukekohe, you could say, and backs that up with Group 3 success.
Yeah, isn't it great to see Leith back? I mean, he's such an intelligent senior jockey, and about 6 weeks ago when we didn't have him or Opie riding, the riding ranks, lacked a bit of that, shall we say, elder statesman factor, but good to see Leith is back. Hopefully he can get home to Jess and the family before Christmas. We're hoping the same thing for you and Opie too, but for now, everybody's concentrated on winning races, and that was a good race. That race will rate really highly because demonetisation was the Easter winner from last year, Hypnos the Copeland's Mile winner, and Royal Performer in third was the Herbie Dyke winner, and the horse who ran fourth on the rocks is a former Group 1 winner. So that's a really, really chunky, high-rating race for the type of races we had so far this season. I was a little surprised, not by the fact that demonetisation won, but once that track started to get really firm, and I think that inside 7 metres actually got quite firm. Now, they galloped 134 and change for the 1600. I liked them less as the week went on, and I think Nigel Tiley, who we'll hear from shortly, was also in the same boat, but maybe we're pigeonholing him as a horse who's better on wet tracks, but that was a very commanding performance under a decent weight. So I think that maybe might give Nigel and Lee a little bit more confidence heading forward over the summer to maybe line him up on some of those tracks more often, even though in the past, and for many of the punters who backed him midweek when the track was a 7M, they probably still think of him as being better with the cut out of the ground. He beat some pretty good horses there on top of the ground. So, yeah, really interesting summer coming up for demonetisation.
Yeah, it most definitely is. And we had our youngest reporter from the Love Racing team out and about over the weekend to catch up with Nigel Tiley post Group 3 success.
Hi, I'm Nigel Tiley and I'm here at Pukekohe to interview my grandfather, Nigel Tiley, for the team at Weigh-In. What makes demonetisation such a good horse?
Well, I think he's got a terrific pedigree. He's out of a Zabeel mare, so that definitely helps. But he's got a terrific will to win. And I think he proved that yesterday when the other horse came up alongside him. He stuck his head out and he just, he knows where the line is and he just wants to win.
Leith and Tiley Racing have a pretty good track record together. It must be nice to see Leith back at the races and in the winning circle for you.
Yeah, we certainly do. We've got a great strike rate. We work very well together. I get a lot of good feedback from Leith, and it just helps me with you know, where we go next with the horses he rides for us. But no, it's great to see him back at the races, and I'm very grateful that he's back riding for us.
Demonetisation has had 2 great wins so far this campaign. Where to next for the big fella?
Well, I think I might have a crack at a Group 1 race with him, Isla. I think the Zabeel Classics is going to be his next start.
You said that you were going to spend winter in Aussie. How's that going for you?
Well, this year it was cut short, unfortunately, due to COVID. We had to come home before the quarantine came into place. We were very fortunate that we were able to get back, but yeah, but it was good fun while we were there.
You must be looking forward to getting back to the races. What is it that you're most looking forward to?
To be honest, I think it's catching up with all my friends that we haven't been able to associate with for so long. So yeah, I can't wait.
Awesome stuff there, and a big thank you to Nigel Tiley, and of course a big thanks to Nigel as well. Awesome insight and exciting stuff for demonetisation, heading towards the Group 1 Zabeel Classic, where they feel he can run out the strong 2,000 metres. Well, the other stakes race on the card from Te Araha was the Trevor and Coralie Eagle Memorial, and it was taken out by promising galloper Paranui Bay.
And behind them, Flash Mary. 2 lengths away, La Bella Beals looks to warm up. Then followed by Lady Morale. It's Paranui Bay. La Bella Beals coming after it. La Creek still there on the inside. And then behind them, Flash Mary. Paranui Bay in front at the 100 metres. Flash Mary's driving through along the inside. Paranui Bay holding sway. Flash Mary's going to make it close, but Paranui Bay got there. Paranui Bay wins the Trevor and Coralie Eagle Memorial. Second over Flash Mary. Third was La Creek. Then we had either La Bella Beals or Lady Morale.
And this is an example of one of those exciting horses that we do have to look forward to heading forward. Listed success for Paranui Bay as he gets up and takes out that one at Te Araha. And Michael, he seems like a horse who just does what he has to. He wasn't overly dazzling, but he just keeps on winning, and he's got that sort of big, lovely big frame and really exciting future ahead for Paranui Bay, I feel. And certainly had a while between runs, obviously came through the Sarton Memorial, and the team electing him to send him to the trials, and that seems to have just had him cherry ripe for Te Araha.
Yep, that's a bit of a pun. Cherry Ripe, of course, owned by Cherry and Brett Taylor. I think the blinkers will probably help at some stage. I know trainers like to wait until they put the blinkers on, but the man on screen there, Michael McNabb, deserves some credit because the way the track was playing, it was very biased to the inside, and that's not any track management fault. That's just how firm tracks tend to race this time of year. He took bad luck out of play. He went forward, even though that may be not totally Paranui Bay's natural racing pattern, and sat outside La Creek. I think that was the winning of the race, so punters owe him a drink. Heading forward with the blinkers, Pike, he said we might put those on next start at 1400 on Boxing Day. So there's a nice 1400 on Boxing Day. And then the other option would be to head down to Trentham for the Levin Stakes, which is a Group 1, obviously. So you start thinking about derbies, and he's bred on his damn side to get a derby. But I get the feeling Tony's quite keen to take him to Sydney, so he'll talk to Brent and Cherry about that. But I get the feeling the derby's not what exactly he's thinking about now, and obviously he's not Karaka Million eligible because he's a homebred. So I think maybe they're thinking Rosehill Guineas type races eventually. So that's a long way away. A lot of things can change between now and then. The one other race Tony did mention was the Herbie Dyke, up to 2,000 metres, $400,000, or maybe even more, against those older horses. Not the only top 3-year-old Tony has to play with at the moment. A couple of other ones, Doubtful Sound, who didn't make the Guineas at Riccarton. He trials today, Monday, so he'll trial, and he's in for a big summer. Field of Gold, who was third behind Novare in the Guineas down there, he's getting ready for the Auckland Guineas, so he'll potentially go Awapuni on the 18th of December, then the Auckland Guineas on the 1st of January at Ellerslie. And Tutakaka is back in the country after contesting the VRC Derby, and he is on a Derby path. So he's on a traditional Derby path. That's going to mean the Karaka Classic, on January 23rd, into the Avondale Guineas, into our Derby. So eventually when the Derby market's open, Emily, he's the horse to look out for from the Pike team to Takaka. But that's a lot of firepower for Tony Pike to play with. Thought the second horse was good there, Flash Mary, in a very tough race. And La Creek was also pretty good, considering she's only having her 4th start. But It's a big team, Emily, for Tony Pike. He has lots of potential targets to aim at with these three rides.
Yeah, he most definitely does. Plenty of firepower, as you were alluding to. And a big well done to Brent and Sherry Taylor for their success over the past few months. The team have been absolutely flying. Well, up next, we get you to the star of Te Araha on Saturday, and that was, of course, Gold Watch, who was successful in the Open 1400.
Now Money Trail, run to perfection in Baltoy. Down to the 400 metres. Pacemaker, Manrico just moved away from the rail, and Gold Watch about to set out after it on the inside. Still a length off them though. Out wide, Packing Rockstar starting to warm up. Then Chao Su Bao. She goes for Gold Watch. He's all out, but he takes the lead now with 100 metres to go. Tick tock. Watch the clock. Gold Watch, 6 in a row. Second over was Peking Rockstar from in third position New York Jazz, and then followed in behind those next by Manrico.
Well, 6 wins in a row for this beautiful son of Swiss Ace, of course, bred by Brent and Sherry Taylor at Trelawney Stud. So another success for them. And Cliff Goss is, of course, Sherry Taylor's father. So wonderful connection there. And look at this big boy. He's got the ears pricked on the line. There's plenty more in store for him. And just such an exciting horse, Michael. And you've got to love the way Cliff has placed this horse. He's really looked after him and nurtured him through the ranks. And he's got the ring craft now. He's putting it all together. And I'm so excited to see him stepping up in grade over the next couple of runs.
Yep, well, you'll be able to see him on January the 1st, Emily, in the Rich Hill Mile. He'll go into that fresh up. So Cliff said, nope, don't need another race. We won at Te Tarapa, the start before this, carrying 62 fresh up. We can do it in the Rich Hill. So not even going to trial him. He goes straight in to the big go on January the 1st. When he was coming down the straight there, I thought he was a bit flat. I wasn't sure if he was caught flat-footed, but Cliff said that's just him. He's just a bit lazy, and as you mentioned, he had his ears pricked at the line. So I think maybe he did that easier than it appeared to look inside the last 200 metres. If he does go to the Rich Hill Mile, if he makes it there, he's probably not going to have enough weight for Jonathan Riddell to get back on. So Cliff said, well, we'll be sticking with Danielle if she is available to ride him. So he's going to be a real star. It's going to be a real cool way to start 2022, having one of the most talked about horses in New Zealand headlining Ellerslie on that day. And well, hopefully in the next couple of weeks with Wayne, and we do apologise, we haven't had as many physical interviews and people in the studio as we would like for obvious reasons. We're hoping to catch up with Cliff and Cherry together to find out about this remarkable time, because both those horses, the family horses, won within 40 minutes on Saturday, and the start before when both of them won him, they were also both on the same day. So pretty special stuff. And Sherry Taylor told me during the weekend that she actually had a tear in her eye when her dad's horse won Gold Watch. It's a lovely story, and we're hoping to make it a big part of our summer here on Wayne.
Yeah, magic stuff, wasn't it? And big congratulations to Cliff Goss and his wonderful horse, Gold Watch. We also had the 2-year-olds stepping out at Te Araha on Saturday in the first race on the card. And I Choose You was successful, leading home a Te Akau trifecta.
Is Billboard, homeward bound, 400 metres to go. I Choose You, tackled by the stablemate Grayson Gray, and they lead by 3 from Accidental Tourist. And behind them next then we've got out wide Time Ruler, followed further back in the field then by Alabama Gold. Down to the 200 they come though. It's the 2 Te Akau runners, and the favourite's going to do it. I Choose You. I Choose You won the first. Second over was Grayson Gray. Third over Accidental Tourist, and then followed by Time Ruler, I think, ahead of Alabama Gold. Back and behind those as they went across the line was
really professional debut from I Choose You, who was urged out of the barriers and was able to find a nice handy spot, and then very professional when asked for a kick and put it all to bed pretty quickly. Grayson Gray also doing a good job and making up some ground there in third, Accidental Tourist. Exciting stuff, Michael, and this obviously Karaka Million picture is taking less shape, but albeit we're getting some really exciting 2-year-olds stepping out.
Yeah, well, obviously she won't be available for the KM because she was purchased on the Gold Coast. So Jamie thinking the Eclipse for her on January the 1st, then maybe the Matamata Breeders. And it does raise that question of when you purchase these horses in Australia, which a lot of people do. They look for that juvenile blood out of Australia, and David and Jamie and Te Akau have been very successful at doing that. You don't have that Karaka Million target. So what do you do? Because it's really hard to win their races. Well, They've answered that question with Bright Blue Sky. Confirmation coming out last night that the filly who won at Te Rapa last week, the Fastnet Rock filly, is going to target the Magic Million. She's going to head to Sydney on December the 12th, maybe trial there, then potentially race in Queensland before the big go on the Gold Coast on January the 15th. Hell of a mountain to climb, Emily, but I think it's great. I think it's really cool for the industry here that we have horses going back there, trying to win Magic Millions and hopefully one day the Golden Slipper, because if you're going to spend that sort of money in Aussie, while it's good for the breeding industry over here, it's also important we have a chance to try and win those races back, Emily. So I think it's really cool that she's going. Good luck to them. It's not an easy Magic Million this far out because there's a very, very hot favourite which James McDonald has committed to. But I think it's exciting, Emily, to have our juveniles going back over there. And can you imagine the hoopla it's going to cause if we can get a New Zealand trained Magic Millions winner? I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, it'd be groundbreaking stuff, wouldn't it? And you've got to be in to win, haven't you? So awesome to see Bright Blue Sky heading across the ditch.
Emily, just on Te Akau, by the way, too, we have to congratulate Mark Walker, who's a huge part of the Te Akau team. Of course, Mark not only helps select horses, but he looks after the entire team in Singapore. I think he won his 4th premiership in the last 7 years. So Mark confirmed that he and Te Akau, of course, won the premiership over the weekend. So Te Akau winning the premiership in New Zealand and Singapore. I know we get a bit blasé about the enormous amount of success they have in this part of the world, Emily, but not many people win premierships in 2 different countries. It's a hell of an achievement. So it takes a lot of work behind the scenes. I don't understand what goes into it, but I know there's a lot of it, Emily. So from everybody in the New Zealand industry, I'm sure that they're pretty thrilled to see Mark, who's a very popular guy, doing such a great job, continuing to do such a great job up there in Singapore.
Yeah, big thanks to everyone behind the scenes as well, and big congratulations to Mark Walker. Well, our other domestic meeting on Saturday came in from Wanganui, and we had success for Chris Dell, Zola Express and Janelle Miller in the listed Steel Form Roofing Group Wanganui Cup.
Marietta Lane tries to clear them. Out by 2. Bully Boys off the trail to come after it though. Motivation. Bonnie Ezra out wider. Wider again is Hunter Pence here, but Bully Boy to the lead. Motivation out of the pack. And Zola Express piercing through the middle of those. Down to the line. Zola Express will win it. Motivation second. Bully Boy third. Bonnie Ezra. Hunter Pence fourth. 5th home. Big run.
That was the biggest win of her career. Zola Express was back, and as you can see from this head-on vision, pierced through runners to be able to finish it off really strongly and take out the Wanganui Cup in style. And leased from Windsor Park stud, 33 people involved in the syndicate. Really nice result for them to have got that big success at Wanganui. And I think all credit and kudos, Michael, goes to Chris Dell, who since relocating to the Central Districts has been racking up the winners and doing a really good job with what he's able to do, and been rewarded there with a feature success.
And when you get more winners, you get to practice your salute. There you go. He's getting pretty good at it, as Chris Dell. He's having a hell of a season. I agree with you. So first of all, well done to Janelle Miller for putting this together and having a lovely horse who all 3 previous wins have been on heavy tracks. So it was quite firm there on Saturday. I was quite stunned to see a Zola Express able to do that. But Chris Dell's up to 12 wins for the season, and obviously he's still in November. So that's his best season since 2013. He's had a little bit of time off since then with an injury, but 12 wins for the season. He rode 2 winners and 2 seconds on Saturday. He's in really good form. I think he's in for a huge summer, Emily. I hope I don't put the kibosh on him, but I think he's in for a really big summer. He's a senior rider. He'll be popular down there. So, yeah, well done to Chris. It's another one of those really cool racing stories we've seen develop over the weekend.
Yeah, it most definitely is. Race number 5 was the open handicap over 1,340 metres, and this one was taken out by Love for All, who racked up win number 3.
Around the home corner, out by 2, but they are coming now. Mertens is starting to let down over on the outside, coming after it. On the inside, Fibonacci still kicking hard from Mertens. Love for All trying to close off well over on the outside. Here Fibonacci still in front. Love for All's going to try and bomb it on the line, and did. And Love for All gets up in the last stride to beat Fibonacci. Mertens behind those, Bari. Then we had Cinerama and time's ticking.
Well, heart in the mouth stuffers, Love for All made a final lunge at the finishing line and was able to get up and win. Did come through last start second, so built on that good form last time to the races and just pounced on the line, Michael, to take out the victory in the open 1,340 metre event.
Yeah, I spoke to Bryce Newman last night about what happens to her next, because she actually already has black type. She was placed last year in the eulogy, so she's got that, which is the most important part of any filly or mare's career. He said, look, we'll try and find a nice carnival race for her at some stage. He's hoping she doesn't get too many points for that, so he can still go into an open handicap, and then you start to think about Trentham and all the races over the summer, and then maybe embellishing that black type. He did say she's not overly big, and she's not a huge, big, strong type of a mare, so they don't want to overtax her. She may not have a super busy summer. But yep, she's obviously got black type already in. She can sprint, and I think she'll stay a bit further than that, obviously. So she's a horse with plenty of options for Bryce.
Yes, certainly is. Well, now on weigh-in, it's time to take in our Maiden of the Week. And we stick around at the Wanganui meeting as was an impressive maiden winner in the form of Galleon.
Now we've got in the middle here, Sweet Janine, way out Galleon starting to come after it. Sea Monarch and Five Fortune is kicking back over on the inside. They're right across the track here, Galleon out wide, hanging off the track, but boy, is that a run. He'll win, he gets it.
Surmised beautifully there by Tony Lee. It was a very, very impressive win. Got buffeted on the turn and was still able to pick itself up and get up to success. Lovely performance by this one. Purchased out of the New Zealand Bloodstock. Ready to run sale as well. A nice advertisement for them. And Michael, it was submitted by you, this Maiden of the Week. And I mentioned it before, but encouraging everyone at home to get involved, to send in their suggestions if they have any suggestions for Maiden of the Week.
Yeah, well, we can't see everything, Emily. You've got about 6 different jobs and a son to look after. And I've got a few things going on too. So if anybody sees a Maiden of the Week, chuck us an idea of who we should be looking at. We actually saw 2 of them back to back. I thought on Saturday, Emily. Galleon looks a proper horse. And obviously that stable, you expect their horses to go on with the job. But their race immediately after was a really strong 3-year-old race. And a horse called Candle for Guy Lowry actually won on debut, the daughter of Super Easy. Not the sort of race you expect a maiden to win on debut. So I think we saw 2 pretty good horses, Galleon and Candle, and exciting time of the year to have those, Emily, because there is so many options for them heading forward over the next couple of months. So, but yes, anybody at home who sees a Maiden of the Week, you can be a bit biased if you own it or something. Send it into the weigh-in team. We're on all the versions of social media you could possibly want. I don't think we're on Snapchat. We're not on Snapchat, but we're on the other ones.
I love how you know what forms of social media there are, Michael. Awesome stuff.
I know the young people who are on Snapchat, Emily. I have no idea what it is. It doesn't sound like a very good idea, to be honest.
No, definitely not. Well, with the Maiden of the Week behind us, we get you to a break here on Weigh-In, and we leave you with action from Central Otago in the form of the Central Otago Cup and the Cromwell Cup from Cromwell.
Clear. Mama Sands Goodania's rattling late. Eptimum with 100 to go. Goodania flying home, but he's going to be too late, and Eptimum scores. Eptimum won the cup to be Goodania. Redford arriving, and then Original Gangster. Leitrim Lad coming with his run. Wanna Be in Paris, the inside. Perrodin in front. Wanna Be in Paris. Wanna Be in Paris going to Perrodin. Wanna Be in Paris will take the cup. What a game there.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Master Marco, Neon Moon about to make her run. She's pulling to the centre of the track as they go for home now. 300 metres to go. Stop Yelling a length. Lennon Carpo, Delampero, Neon Moon caught upon. Master Marco, wider out Dushku from a mile back. They're across the track. Lennon, Stop Yelling. Up the centre, Master Marco, Neon Moon, Lateman, right down the outside. Dushku, up at the centre, Master Marco, Neon Moon. They're right across the track. I've got no hope. I've got no hope to get that right. Neon Moon, Lennon, Stop Yelling Maybe, Master Marco's right at it, as to Dushku. We will certainly...
Well, Justin Evans was spot on about having no hope, because would you believe it, this was a dead heat for first and a dead heat for third. So remarkable stuff there coming in from Cromwell. That was obviously from the weekend, and yeah, you couldn't write about it. Dead heat for first and a dead heat for third when it came to that race from Cromwell, and as could have looked any which way, couldn't you, on the line as they hit it, a sea of heads. Yeah, really, really unbelievable stuff there on the line from Cromwell. Well, let's move on here on Weigh-In, and on Thursday we had stakes racing coming from Otaki, 2 features, and they didn't disappoint when it came to results. Let's have a little look at White Noise. This is taking out the Wellington Stakes.
Levelled up to it really quickly. White Noise out of the pack and after it. He asks her to run now with Unusual Culture, and she has a length and a half. White Noise tries hard. Barrow Boy there between runners in front. Unusual Culture. White Noise is starting to charge. Coming after it now. White Noise. Ryan Elliott goes on by, and it'll win the Lucia Valentina Wellington Stakes from Unusual Culture. And then we had him behind them when they've hit it has been Barrow Boy on the inside.
Small field, and one of the less fancied runners in the field was White Noise, but he didn't know anything about that, and the less fancied of the 2 Baker Forsman runners settled off the pace and breezed on by Michael by 3/4 of a length to take out the win in Group 3 success.
Yeah, Ryan Elliott's riding well, and he needed to here because this horse wanted to duck in a touch, and that makes things a little bit tricky, but put the whip away, went back to hands and heels and got the job done. And look, you would think the way it found the line that Andrew and Murray have a whole bunch of options over the summer with a horse like this. It's been quite a good form race the last couple of years, this race, with obviously a Derby winner and Crown Prosecutor coming out of it a couple of years ago. So interesting to see a horse who probably wasn't on people's radars, Emily, as a 3-year-old feature race contender. You would suggest now it is, and obviously can travel too, which brings races like the Live-In Classic in the middle of December back into play at Trentham.
Yeah, and just didn't handle the heavy track, I think, at Tauranga the last time to the races, and then put it all together, obviously, in that Group 3 Lucia Valentina Wellington Stakes, and one of 4 stakes winners for Sire El Roca. Well, the other stakes race on the card at Otaki was the Levin Stakes, and Rose and Power was successful in this one for Fred and Lindsay Corniget.
They turn in the Courtesy Ford Levin Stakes, and here in the middle, Rose and Power goes after them quickly. On the inside of it is fighting on very well a Streak of Power, Romantic Lady, Pusigur. Oscillator starting to warm up. It's going to get pretty tight though. Romantic Lady, Rose and Power on the inside, fighting hard. Romantic Lady's just in front. Rose and Power is lifting and came back to win it. Rose and Power from Romantic Lady, 3rd at the line. Stumpy whipping home was Cruz Ramirez, was going to be Pusigur and Oscillator.
Pretty sure that's 4 races in succession, and now black type for Rose and Power, and normally leads and lets them catch her, but this time around was able to take a sit and really had to dig deep late to get the win. Congratulations to the breeders Liz Pollard and Gloria Graydon. And Michael, on a personal note for Fred and Lindsay Corniget, they were celebrating their 43rd wedding anniversary, and this win was the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Well, anybody who can last 43 years married him, that's a far bigger achievement than getting a listed win at Otaki on a Thursday afternoon. But I tell you what, it was a hell of a win though, because I thought his Romantic Lady had it. I was absolutely certain it did. She's one of these horses who's just sort of snuck up on us all a bit. I'm sure she hasn't snuck up on the Cornigets, as you see the nose margin there. But 5 wins out of 10, if she was in a big hype stable, she'd probably have more hype about her. And now, obviously, she's already black type. She's by Power. So you would suggest they're probably going to stick to those 1200s or 1400s with her. But yeah, she comes into play, I suppose, Emily, for races like a Railway. I mean, what else do you do with those good horses? That's where they probably have to aim. So Railways, Concords, all those sort of races, maybe even a Sneaky Telegraph. Admittedly, she's found herself a pretty tough year to be an open class sprinter in New Zealand, Emily, because we have a lot of very good sprinters and a lot of them are mares.
Yeah, Fred, post-race, I think, was indicating that the Railway Stakes was on the horizon for Rose and Power, and they only have 4 or 5 in work, so really awesome stuff to see them getting success there in the Levin Stakes. Well, now let's take you across the ditch here on Weigh-In as we take in the feature from Sandown. That was the Zipping Classic where sound caused an upset.
Spanish Mission about to make a line of 3 around the corner as they sprint up. 300 metres to go. It's Dr. Drill and Wetwood. Spanish Mission a length and a half away, just needs to find, wants to lug in, then Sound and Silent Sovereign. Dr. Drill looking to upset the party at the 200 metres. Sound is a threat. Dr. Drill led by a length. Now Sound coming out after it. Dr. Drill joined by Sound, and Sound over the top won it from Dr. Drill. 3-way go for third. Wentwood, Skelm or Spanish Mission, the dream men not to be for Glen Boss, but we salute you. Then Lunar Flare next to finish.
Well, successive Zipping Classics for Sound, who now has amassed I think a little over $1.8 million in prize money. Michael, it was a sit and sprint race, won pretty comfortably on the line. Hard to believe he's 9 years old and still racing at his best as Sound. There were so many layers to this race though, Michael. Obviously this was Glen Boss's last ride. If we tackle Sound first, and then of course we can get into the retirement of Glen Boss.
Yeah, well, what a wonderful horse he must be, Sound. Yeah, when they race in those Melbourne Cups, Emily, they can run nice races and finish 5th or 10th, and you sort of don't think about them much afterwards, but you realise, it's such an international race these days that you need to be bloody good to be in those positions. I think he'll come home. I had a really good talk to Mike Moroney last night, and when I say home, I mean back to New Zealand. It's our home. It's not his, of course. He's German bred. And he said, yeah, we think the Auckland Cup could be a really good race for him. He's obviously raced in the race before and run second. And Mike said, I would like to see him stand at stud in New Zealand. Now, you don't often think about 9-year-olds going to stud, but as he said, that's great staying blood. And Mike said, that's what we should be breeding in New Zealand. That's what people want to come here and buy. So he's dead keen to get a stud deal for him in New Zealand. It would make sense for somebody who wants to breed stayers. And one thing about him is he's obviously, excuse the pun, very sound, because he's racing at 9 on hard tracks. He's raced all over the world and he's just a hell of a horse. So he'll be back for the Auckland Cup potentially. I doubt the chosen one's going to turn up in the Auckland Cup. So I wouldn't be getting too carried away with him. And this market has a lot of places to move. I did speak to Tony Pike during the week. He did say Sherwood Forest is being set for the race. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see a horse like him come to stud back in New Zealand then, because they obviously would leave staying types of horses, but very sound horses, which are important when you're trying to on-sell them to Hong Kong. And you would think he might be able to find a home over here. But before he tries that, he's going to be heading to the Sunday Auckland Cup in mid-March.
Yeah, good stuff. Looking forward to seeing him back in New Zealand. And of course, as we alluded to through that race, Glen Boss's retirement, Michael, was announced obviously late on Thursday, that he was having his final race day on Saturday. He had just the one ride on Spanish Mission in that race and ended up coming fourth. But I saw the shirt came off and there was celebrations all round, and wonderful stuff with his family, and these shots of him with, I think it was Damien Oliver as well, post this final ride. Great to see such a legend farewell. 90 Group 1 wins, 4 Cox plates, just an unbelievable rider.
I think he's a great rider. We all know that. You can read that in the history books. But what I like about Bossy, Emily, and you would have had a bit to do with him too, is he's his own man. He's very quirky. He's very unusual, very deep thinking. When you have a conversation with him, it's not your usual conversation of good horse win race, as Bossy's about to do the strip here. This will get better. I like spending time with him. I think he's a really interesting, cool sort of guy. He's going to get a job now with Ladbrokes heading forward. He's going to be a race analyst for them. But yeah, I think he's going to be missed in racing, because you need, well, we also need people taking their shirts off, but probably not all the time in presentation ceremonies. But you need those unusual people. And I was trying to think, Emily, if I could compare him to anybody in New Zealand, but I actually can't compare him to anybody I've ever met at that level of the game. So I think he's been a really fun, cool, interesting guy and a hell of a rider at Group 1 level. Peter Moody probably summed it up best. He said, if it was Sandown on a Wednesday afternoon, I could take or leave Bossy, but when it comes to Group 1s, he's one of the first guys you ring.
Yeah, and awesome stuff there with his family. I think it's Tate and Carter, his 2 kids, and wife Sloane. So really awesome stuff, and what a fantastic rider he's been over the years, and great to see him going out in style on his own terms. Was another Kiwi success at Sandown on Saturday, and that came in the form of Dragon Storm in the Sandown Cup. It was pretty impressive, winning over the ultimate staying distance.
Share Lady in the Sky, True Marvel to the outside, Sweet Thomas has bailed away, needs a run. Lion Share into Rio at the 200, joined by True Marvel. Sweet Thomas gets out and Dragon Storm late. True Marvel at the 100 from Lion Share. Dragon Storm's flying. True Marvel at the 50 punched out. Dragon Storm's coming at it. They reach the line ahead, Bobber. Very close between Dragon Storm or True Marvel. Photo finish. Then Sweet Thomas in a decision for third with Lion Share. Then Aber Lady in the Sky.
There wasn't much in it, was there, Michael? You could see him just coming down the outside, making ground the whole way with that really big galloping action. Of course, a New Zealand Cup winner. And if you'd looked at his form prior to this race, there wasn't a heck of a lot to go on, but good to see him back in the winner's enclosure.
And a big double for Team Moroni. So Mike obviously trained sound and this. So it's a big staying double for the day. He was very honest about the fact that the horse had disappointed him in his previous 2 runs. He said, we didn't know what to do. So what they did was they chucked some headgear on him and popped him over the jumps. And they said, we thought that'll wake him up. And it did. So something you hear quite a bit of people doing in England and Ireland, just chuck them over the jumps and get their minds back on the job. Well, that was the case for Dragon Storm. Mike said, I actually thought we were getting close to retiring the horse because we couldn't get him to go. And the owner was talking about using him as a show horse and saying, oh, if he doesn't win a race, we'll just take him home and I'll ride him around. That's not the case anymore. Dragon Storm's now won another staying race and he'll be aimed at the Adelaide Cup. So he can't go right-handed. So Adelaide Cup for him over the 2 miles in April, the big aim for a rejuvenated, jumping Dragon Storm.
Yeah, great stuff, and good to see using all the tricks in the book to get Dragon Storm back in form and really doing it nicely right down to the wire there in Australia. Well, as we move through, we can have a little look at a couple of Kiwi winners from elsewhere, and one of those, of course, was Polly Gray, who was successful in the listed ATC Cup. Here's a look at a replay of her.
2 further back to Mighty Beale. Kiss the Bride now last. Grove Ferry just in front of Blue Soldier. Polly Gray being wound up by McDonald, running on in a length further back to Mighty Beale. It's Grove Ferry being tackled by Polly Gray. Mighty Beale the outside. They've beaten up Blue Soldier. Polly Gray, Grove Ferry. Mighty Beale is running out of ground and Polly's going well in the ATC Cup. Polly Gray too good. Another wet track win. Went on to beat Mighty Beale, Grove Ferry. Get back to either Blue Soldier or Kiss the Bride for 4th. And Soldier Blah Blah.
She's so effective in the soft track conditions, isn't she? And 7-year-old Polly Gray picks up her 4th stakes success. That was in the listed ATC Cup. Didn't do it the easy way, carried 59 kilos, but loving those heavy conditions. Jumped, here's this for a training effort, from 1,400 metres to 2,000 metres for the ATC Cup. And did just have the trial in between to have her spot on. And of course, the Go Racing Mighty Beale also finishing into the money. They're going to head towards the Group 3 Summer Cup on Boxing Day for her. And it's great for Kylie Fawcett and Connections, who still stay in the ownership. Now, of course, had 6 races in New Zealand, including that listed Matamata Cup, but has really been wonderful to follow across the ditch as well, and proven that she can not only handle those heavy conditions, but also the dry conditions too. There was talk about retiring her, but Connections saying that prize money is just too good across the ditch, and while she's still well and loving racing, they will continue on. So looking forward to seeing her in that Group 3 Summer Cup on Boxing Day. Well, another race that may interest Kiwis was the Jericho Cup. Unfortunately, Border Leicester couldn't take his spot, but it was success for Will John.
Bastard only, there's another one. Will John on the outside is going up to Bud Fox. Bud Fox for Lynch hit the lead. Will John, the big bloke on the outside, still coming. They sat down to fight it out. A stirring Jericho Cup battle. This is like St. Emmett gold medals all over again. Will John hit the lead though from again Bud Fox, and Will John will do it. Will John, yes John, won it by a length to Bud Fox. 8 away third, he be right. just in front of Will to Excel. He came from nowhere to get
4,600 metre race that every year just keeps gaining momentum, doesn't it? A race for the battlers, they've labelled it, and good to see a great big crowd on course as well. This was a win for Kira Maher and David Eustace, but talking post-race, a really special win for them. Kira Maher and owner Colin McKenna talking about what a special horse Will John is and what a special win this is for them. So awesome stuff. Carried 70 kilos. Will Gordon, former rider based here in New Zealand, getting a lovely win there. That was the Jericho Cup. And condolences, obviously, to Emily and David Brown with regards to Border Leicester, who was a key chance in the Jericho Cup, but unfortunately having to be scratched. Well, as we get you off to a break here on Weigh-In, we can leave you with a little vision of Sam Collett, who had 3 rides at Ipswich and made it wins on 2 of those as she got that campaign in Australia off to a flying start.
Led over Love Yous All, running to second, then Abroy. Jacama the inside, Mashani Conman deeper out. Love Yous All sprinted, went to Biggie at the furlong. Love Yous All on the outside of Biggie, battling back. Jacama's about to burst into the clear. Love Yous All in front. Here comes Jacama. Jacama cut down Love Yous All. What a ride, 10 out of 10. That young lady was good in the land of the long white cloud, and she showed it here today.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
They get to the 400 metre pole, Kiseki, he's been here before, but here comes Authority. Authority laying down the law and running on his Contrail and Shariar. Is it the race for the ages, the one we were scripting for? Yes, it is. It's Authority joined by Contrail. Contrail, is he going to go out a window? Contrail hits the front from Authority, and running into third is Shariar. Goodbye, son. Well done. Contrail wins the Japan Cup. He's off to the breeding barn. Wins it from Authority and Shariar. Well, the 1, 2, 3, as we expected, they were there.
A lovely way to wrap up a wonderful career, as we heard there. Contrail off to the breeding barn, the son of Deep Impact, who was able to win his first 7 races in succession before being beaten by Almond Eye, and does retire a 5-time Group 1 winner, 8-time winner from just 11 starts. What about his legendary trainer? Not only a Cox Plate winner, but of course fresh off the back of success in the Breeders' Cup, was able to take home 2 Breeders' Cup races during the recent carnival. Well, let's move on here on Weigh-In and tidy up some housekeeping as we take a little look at the NZTR vaccine mandate. I can bring you further information with regards to that from Friday, December the 3rd, all races and trial meetings will be conducted as events under the COVID protection framework and will be held in accordance with the prevailing traffic light setting in the relevant region. Therefore, importantly, to gain entry, any attendee must prove that they are double vaccinated by showing their My Vaccine Pass at entry. And there are also specific guidelines for trainers, their staff and other licence holders. Make sure you visit loveracing.co.nz to view the full directive. Michael, that seems relatively clear with regards to that vaccine mandate, and important that people do head to Love Racing to find out more with regards to that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because a lot of people would have downloaded the vaccine pass, they have it in their Apple wallet, it's the easiest thing in the world for them, and that's fine. But there's some people in racing who may not find that process so easy. Some people aren't quite as computer or phone savvy. And we also have a lot of people working in this country who English isn't their first language, and those websites could be really tricky for them to negotiate. And understand some of that language. I've read those websites and some of it's quite ambiguous, so I get confused. So I would say if you work in a stable or at a track and there's somebody there who you think may not understand how all this works, help them out, because we're all in this together. And it's not your usual racing episode where, I know the guys at the track, they'll let me in. That's not how it works. The whole country for racing, and in both equine codes, is vaccine pass only, or you can't come in. And that could mean turning up to the races and not being allowed to take your horse on track. So this is really important stuff. I know a lot of people don't like the finicky stuff and the paperwork and all that sort of clicking on links in, But this is important stuff, and it's important that we all help each other. So if you are in a stable environment, or you have owners, or you have people around you who you don't think totally understand this, or might have forgotten about it, then give them a bit of a nudge this week, because otherwise they're not going to get to participate in racing here. So if you've done the hard work and you're double vaxxed, congratulations. But just make sure you get the paperwork. It's really easy if you download it to your phone, Emily, or you can carry it around in your wallet, obviously, if you're a print person. But you can put it onto your phone, just screenshot it's enough, or you can put it in your Apple wallet if you're that way inclined. And once you've got it for a long period of time. But really important we all try and help each other out on this one.
Yeah, and it is, as you said, pretty simple to do if you just head online, even just a Google search, My Vaccine Passport, and it'll be able to direct you to the correct website. The other important thing that we're dealing with at the moment, Michael, is with regards to the yearling sales. Obviously, we're fresh off the back of the ready-to-run sales, and we heard a couple of weeks ago the change of date, those yearling sales being pushed back to March. What can you tell us about that?
Look, it's a really tricky one, because obviously the sales are an enormous part of the economic engine of the country. So they've gone back to March, and they're going to start on a Monday, so 2 days after Super Saturday in Sydney and Melbourne, so that way hopefully people can get across here. But that's the question, can we get people across to the sales? Now, NZB just can't keep moving the sales backwards. They're aware of that. They've set their date. We're ready to go. We are going in that week between the Derby and the Auckland Cup, which of course moves to Sunday. But with the government's suggestion that there'll be no hotel quarantine for New Zealand citizens coming home from January 16 onwards, if that stays the way it is, and that's an if, and obviously we know there's a new strain of COVID, and we're not sure how big a deal Omicron's going to be. So all this is very much a moving feast. But NZB have said, well, what can we do to try and help? Because technically, we can't get people from other countries, or residents or citizens of other countries, in until April the 30th. That may well move, but here's what we do know. NZB have applied to the government, and they've said, hey, if things don't get any worse, we would love to use this as a wonderful test case to bring double vaccinated Australian citizens in, so trainers like Kieran Ma, who you see there on screen, bring them in, we pick them up from the airport, and then guess what? We have a hotel. We have a hotel at Karaka, the Doubletree by Hilton Hotel, opening there on February the 22nd. So they have the ability, rather than having a week's home quarantine, to bring those trainers and agents and owners in, if they're double vaccinated, which is no different to being a double vaccinated Kiwi, and let them stay on the premises. They can expect the yearlings during the week from afar. They can have their tests, and then they can be ready to participate in the sales. Now, that's thinking outside the square. So they've asked the government, and of course the Deputy Prime Minister is the Minister for Racing, are you interested in us doing this? Now, that might sound like, well, why should racing get that in other places? A couple of reasons. First of all, they have their own hotel. So they can have nobody else staying there. They can have it almost like a quarantine facility, but those people will be able to inspect yearlings because they don't have to touch them. Secondly, these people aren't coming here to have a couple of meals and go home after buying a few things at the store. These are people who are going to spend millions and millions of dollars. And that money not only helps the economy, but of course, tax is paid on that money, which goes back to the government. Now, I'm not saying I know what's going to be happening by March, and either are New Zealand Bloodstock. They're not trying to force anybody's hand here, but they're saying to the government, we believe we have a perfect test case for this sort of thing, our own property, away from other areas, and we have our own hotel to put these people up in, and we know they're going to spend a stack of money. So I think it's well worth consideration. I'm not sure where all this heads, Emily. Nobody is. But for anybody out there who's a breeder or a vendor thinking, well, the sales are in March, but maybe Australians can't come into April, what's going to happen here? NZB's doing the most they can do. You can't do more than put all this in place and apply to the government. If they say no, or things change, well, so be it. But that's what Andrew Seabrook and his team have come up with. I think it's a great idea. Where it heads, I guess we'll find out. I've spoken to quite a few of the New Zealanders in Australia, people who are agents or New Zealand citizens like Mike Maroney, who we referenced earlier in the show, and they said, yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back and home quarantine if we have to for a week so we can be participating at the sales. So Some good news, a lot of agents are Kiwi citizens, and a lot of our trainers are Kiwis and expats over there, people like Mike Maroney, Bjorn Baker, a lot of other people, obviously Chris Waller if he wants to come. So I think there's some real positives there, Emily, but NZB is leaving no stone unturned through very official channels to try and get as many people there as we can. We can't keep moving the sales back. So this is what it's going to be, and I guess we're all going to find out together how it unfolds in front of us.
Yeah, really tough time, isn't it? And you've got to feel for everybody involved. And when you hear that there's a new strain of COVID out and about, it certainly only adds to the pressure, no doubt, all of the vendors are feeling. Michael, in other news, tonight the Horse of the Year Awards, a virtual event, I understand.
Yeah, 8 o'clock tonight on Trackside M, and look, it's not what we all wanted. We all know that. I think like a lot of things in 2021, it'd be a case of let's do the best we can with it. So 8 p.m. on Trackside tonight. You might even be watching this on Trackside, which will be afterwards. So otherwise, by then you'll know the Horse of the Year. Look, it's going to be great to have it named. We need to get it out of the way while 2021 is still going. We can't name the Horse of the Year for last season in 2022. So to everybody involved, good luck. If you have a horse in there, it'll be coverage tonight, virtual coverage. Let's hope, Emily, it's the last time we ever have to do the Horse of the Year this way. But it snuck up on a few people. If you've got a contender, if you're that way inclined, maybe crack a bottle of champagne and good luck tonight if things go your way.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for that insight. I have to go back and have a little look at all the contenders for the categories to remind myself, and best of luck to you if you do have one of the key chances in those contenders for Horse of the Year awards. Well, that's it from us here on Weigh In. It's been a great show reviewing all of those key races, and as always, we'll be back next week. A big thank you from myself and Michael.